Hi, I'm here today with our co-host Stacy Lavely. We're here talking about what's going on at the Senior Center in Shrewsbury on November and December.
Absolutely. So excited about the Sox, and we actually have seniors in town who have seen both the 1918 and the 2018 World Series. Red Sox won it, so that's pretty amazing.
That is
when
amazing.
you really think about it. So that whole chasing history, we made it. So on a more somber note, we did lose a very special person in our community. About 5,000 people in town get our newsletter, and the gentleman who's been responsible for that for the last few years is Ken Bodel, and we lost him earlier this month, and I just wanted to take a moment of silence for him and the other people we have lost this year, so if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, appreciate all the work he did. And
he was amazing.
One of the things that gets talked about this time of year a lot is this is a time of year where people that we've lost from our lives in the course of the year, that becomes magnified almost. The weight of that becomes magnified in our lives this time of year. So.
Especially, as you're coming into the fall, I mean,
Sure.
which is, kind of that season. And also, like we were talking about holidays and things like that.
Yes.
I mean, it brings up so much. So I'm going to let you kind of jump into some of the exciting things we have going on to take that right off the table.
Sure. Well, let's first talk about Senator Mike Moore is hosting a Thanksgiving.
Yes, we were just talking about tables.
Dinner.
So, Senator Mike Moore does a turkey dinner every year at the Shrewsbury Senior Center, and this year's no different. We have it Friday, November 16th. The meal is going to start about noon. And we invite people to come and sign up. For some reason, it didn't make it in the newsletter, and we apologize for that. But feel free to give a call to the center, 508-841-8640, or you can just drop by the front desk and sign up. So again, the number is 508-841-8640.
Great. And is there any cost for that?
No cost. It's free. And what he does is he co-hosts it with Hannah Kane, who's our House Rep, and she does her own, which is coming up, and that's going to be on December 10th. And I believe hers starts at 11:30, but it is in the newsletter, so we do have that. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see.
Well, this is hot off the press.
I know, really,
literally
right
hot
off
the press. So, no, that's great. And again, those are opportunities. People can go to the website or call to find out, get specific information about those events. But
absolutely. And with Mike's, it's a sit-down dinner, so we will be serving. We do have a lot of the local celebrities come and do it, like the selectmen and some of the people from town hall. So it's always really a fun camaraderie kind of piece. And with Hannah, she usually has entertainment. I think this year she has the Assabet Valley Chorus coming, as well as they're going to be doing the buffet, the kids who are actually in the culinary program. So it's a really nice tie-in to the community and really kind of getting that intergenerational piece together. So it's nice.
Super.
Great to see.
Something that jumped right out at me that the Friends are doing on November 20th, a Music Through the Decades program.
Yeah, that sounds so fun.
It really does. And that's on a Tuesday, November 20th at 1 o'clock. And again, people are just asked to give a call because they are going to serve refreshments.
Yep, they serve refreshments, and they do actually have that the third Tuesday of every month. They do have a program where they come in. It could be anything like that. It could be a magician, a juggler. They've had all kinds of really interesting things. Some, of those plays where it's like, a look at history sort of thing. And they have people who do one-act plays and things like that. So it's a really fun time. They do have a $10 joining fee for the Friends if you do want to take part in that, and also in their voting process and things like that. And like you said, they do have refreshments, and I think they might do raffles as well. So definitely come on down. It's going to be a great time, and it's just, great way to kick off the holiday season.
Great social activity.
Absolutely.
The one thing, also in the newsletter, Dave Grillo, who's a guest in an upcoming show of ours, and I know he and I have talked a little bit about holiday donations and all the requests you get. Some are legit, some are not. And I just wanted to emphasize that one point, that if you have any question, if you don't know the organization, before you give any money, asks people.
Yes.
Call Dave, call Better Business Bureau. There are all sorts of ways.
And
Ask some of
call
your
us.
friends and
Yes.
call the senior center and find out just about that, because this is a terrible time in terms
It
of that. You
is.
get all sorts of calls and solicitations by mail as well as in person, and organizations sometimes sound a lot alike to organizations you're familiar with.
Their names, yes.
And their names, and it's quite a fraudulent time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of them, what we found in the past, we've had some situations where the calendars that come out, they're actually asking for donations through that or with that and things like that. And we have actually, from the senior center, brought that over to the police department and had them actually do a check on it as well. So, we really do want to be involved as much as we can. But if it is something beyond us, then we would definitely, call Dave, email him, what have you. He's very responsive, and he's really great at that consumer awareness and really seeing what's going on.
Again, this time of year, it just seems to proliferate. And
So true.
also this time of year, it's time for everybody to, let's talk about that too. Let's talk about volunteering. Yes.
Yes, we're really looking for some great people down in our meal site. It's that time of year where people unfortunately get sick and things like that, or they're lucky enough to go away for a week or two, or some go for the whole winter. So we're definitely looking for people in the meal site. And the other thing we'd really love to find is people who are willing to share a hobby. So things like a craft you might do, like scrapbooking or guitar, if you play guitar or something like that. So many seniors have been expressing interest in learning how to play different instruments and things like that. And I've been racking my brain trying to find out, and I just so far haven't had any luck. So hopefully either you or maybe someone can come on down and do that for us. That would be phenomenal.
Terrific. Also wanted to mention that Shine volunteers at the Senior Center, because this is the time period to review where you are with Medicare and any supplemental plans. And again, the Senior Center is a great resource. All the senior centers, so Shine is in many of them, and great resource to just go in and take an analysis of where you are. And November, December, that's the time period.
Absolutely, and you can, if for some reason we are full, you can also go to a different town if that's more comfortable for you. So we can give you the number for Shine in Milford, which is the regional office, and they're more than happy to help you as well.
Big time of year for that, and a great service provided by everybody there. Also wanted to mention fuel assistance and other programs like that. The home repair program, Walter Rice at the Senior Center handles a lot of that kind of facilitation, but winter's here, and we're whether we like it or not.
It is.
And for fuel assistance, this is the time of year to talk about that.
And he's here Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 to 2, and then on Fridays from 7 to 1. So he is a great resource for that, and he can help you do any of the paperwork and, get you in connections with any resources you might need above and beyond.
Great. Well, that's just some of what's going on
absolutely.
at the Senior Center or related to the Senior Center, and there are a lot of other programs and services that we can't possibly fit in and talk about today. But please drop into your Senior Center or call or look it up on the website and find out ways to get involved, have some fun, and learn some things that are important to you, like the Medicare information.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
This goes by like that.
I know. No time. Thanks, guys.
We'll be back. Hi, I'm here today with Captain Aaron Roy from the Shrewsbury Fire Department. Welcome.
How you doing?
Thank you for coming. And
pleasure.
It's obviously fall now and getting close to winter time. Wanted to talk about some things that people should be thinking about, and your heating system. You had mentioned your heating systems are a real problem.
Sure, absolutely, and it's funny you had me in today on the coldest day of the year, so now I think this really brings it to the forefront where people are going to start to fire up their heating appliances. A lot of people just anticipate it's going to work and it's going to work properly when they fire it up at the beginning of the year. But realistically, there's a lot of maintenance that goes along with these pieces of equipment, and they should be serviced on an annual basis. In the last 5 years in Massachusetts, there's over 10,000 fires related to heating systems.
Wow.
So it's really important that you have your oil provider, or your gas provider, or your plumber come out and service and clean it on an annual basis.
Wow. And you mentioned chimneys for people who do wood stove, and we were
Absolutely.
talking about that.
There's so many different variables. With the cost of oil a couple of years back, people really started looking at alternative fuels, and they turned back to wood. Well, different chimneys require different things.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that if you're using a wood chimney, you have it inspected every year, inspected and cleaned by a certified chimney sweep. They're going to put a camera down it. They're going to make sure that there's no cracks in your masonry, because those are the points of extension for fires. You hear a lot of talk about creosote. What they'll also do is they'll make sure that your chimney is the appropriate sized, because if you're burning wood as opposed to pellets or propane or gas, you need a different sized chimney liner. It'll give you the appropriate amount of draft, and that'll reduce the gases cooling and lessen your chance of creosote and creosote-related fires.
Okay, wow. So that's I guess I didn't realize the number of fires in the course of a year. You know that there's a lot if you've watched the news.
Sure.
But that's an awful lot, and I didn't realize just how much of a factor not taking care of, well, although it makes perfect sense, not taking care of your chimney and your system
Absolutely.
can do for people.
And there's other issues outside of fires. A lot of times you'll get symptoms that are caused by a dirty oil burner. Oil burners will backfire. They'll fill your whole house with smoke. They'll do a lot of damage that way. Improperly running appliance will create higher levels of carbon monoxide.
And that's a big problem.
It's a huge problem. That's I would say that's a strong portion of our business is going out and checking these appliances, and when they do backfire and fill the house with smoke, or when carbon monoxide detectors are going off. And quite frequently we do have carbon monoxide readings. So that's another thing. We want to make sure that we do have the appropriate detection in place.
Okay. And what's the battery-powered carbon monoxide detectors? And how many do you need in your home?
For carbon monoxide, you need one per level.
Okay.
They need to be located within 10 feet of each sleeping area. So depending on the layout of your house, it could vary.
Okay.
If there's ever any questions on location placement and things of that nature, you can either go on the Department of Fire Services website, or you call the station. We'd be happy to come out and check it out or answer any questions you have over the phone.
Okay, super.
And while we're on the topic of carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors, there's been a lot of really good advancements in technology. And I recently installed one just to try it out myself, was the new 10-year lithium-ion battery smoke detector, because we had this big push to change your battery every time you change your clocks. And a lot of people don't. So now what they did was they put that 10-year battery in, which is the life of the detector. So now if there's ever any issue, you don't replace the batteries anymore, you just replace the detectors. So it's a nice service-free unit.
Okay. Well, that's important too. I mean, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide, they're really important.
Absolutely,
in people's homes. As we start to trend more into winter and the holidays, there are other things too that you all end up responding to. How can we keep reminding people about overloading circuits or taking care of, I don't know how many calls you get for people who take their snow blowers up on their roofs, but I've seen that.
Absolutely.
Not a good idea.
Absolutely. You know, and a couple of years ago we had that really, really heavy snow short period with, I believe it qualified as a blizzard. And there was a lot of people concerned about the structural stability of the roof, and they were bringing the snow blowers out on the roof. Extremely dangerous work. That should be left to a professional. There are many roofing companies that are licensed and insured to do that. So you don't want to have that snowblower up there. It's just one more thing to put a little more weight on the roof. And a lot of people actually did crash through their roofs and fall into the living room, which probably wasn't the expected outcome. But yeah, hire a qualified company. There's a lot of safety involved in it, a lot of the tethering. And obviously if someone gets hurt, you don't want the insurance liability. So you want to make sure they're insured as well.
Sure. No, that makes sense. And then just other basics around the holidays. You've got people with Christmas trees and plugging too many things. I always have to be careful about that myself. Too many things into an outlet or one of those strips.
Sure, yeah, the power strips. And actually, you know, technology's come a long way around the holiday season too. Now we have LED Christmas lights. They use a lot less power. They're a lot easier to use. You don't have to worry about changing that one bulb that goes out every year.
Yeah, that's true.
And without needing as much power, you don't really have that overloading the circuit issue that we used to have. Sure. Plus, over time, when you wrap those up at the end of the year and you coil them, you're just deteriorating the wires, and they're inexpensive enough to change.
Yeah, that's true. That'll make me feel a little better. I've been slowly changing from the old-fashioned lights. I like the colors better.
Yeah, no,
but I can understand you. They don't throw off the heat.
They don't
like
throw
the
off
old
the
ones
heat.
did.
They don't throw off the heat. And now, I wasn't a huge fan of this as a kid. I really enjoyed the fresh cut Christmas trees and things of that nature. But it is a lot easier to get the artificial trees. You don't have to worry about the dried out tree causing a fire or having to water it every day, because you have to water those trees every day. And those dry Christmas trees, they go up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And now with the new artificial, all the lights are all wound in.
Oh,
It makes it quite easier.
But not to take all the business away from all the folks who do live Christmas trees.
Absolutely not.
If you use a live Christmas tree, you do have to take care of it.
Absolutely.
That's the main
You
thing.
want to make sure that when you buy the tree, the branches are very flexible and they don't crack, indicating a dry tree. Once it's dry, you can't get it back. But if you get a fresh cut tree and it still has good amount of moisture in it, and you water it every day, you won't have a problem. But you have to be very, very diligent with that.
And you can't be one of the folks who try to leave it up for 2 months.
And that is another problem.
That is a problem, sure.
People try to leave it up a lot longer than they should, maybe a week, 2 weeks tops past the holiday season, and get it out of your house.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, some of us, that was the defining moment when I realized, we want to put up a tree, but we want to have it up from Thanksgiving to
Yeah.
the week after New Year's. Can't do a live tree
No,
anymore. Have to,
that's an
but
artificial.
they make some decent artificial trees.
Sure.
So that's a fun thing. Well, that's great. Anything else that just jumps out at you that pops up during this time of year?
Well, this time of year, we had a brief conversation before we went on air about the space heaters, and there's a lot of taboo around space heaters as far as the legality of it. Space heaters are a legal item for use in Massachusetts, for use and purchase. Even we get a lot of calls from landlords concerned that their tenants are using space heaters. The only thing you want to be cognizant of is that it is a listed device. You don't want to buy an inexpensive, cheap piece of equipment that's going to give you failure in the future. And the best way of indicating that is to make sure it's listed. If it has a UL listed
I was going to say,
stamp,
listed means Underwriters Laboratories.
absolutely, Underwriters Laboratory, that means that they tested the component and that you shouldn't have an issue with it. Also, anytime you're using a space heater, avoid using an extension cord when possible.
Okay.
If you can plug it right into an outlet, that's the best case scenario. If you do have to use an extension cord, make sure you don't use the very, very thin cords. You want to use a very heavy gauge cord. And you don't want it to be too long.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for
It's my pleasure.
coming to give a little idea of what people should look for this time of year and what they should be doing, especially around the heating systems and
Yep.
making sure that they work.
And
We're here today with Bruce Willard from A+ Firearms Training. Bruce has been doing firearms training in Central Mass for a long time.
13, since 2009 officially.
Great, great. And you've been doing basic, advanced, and training for people in situational.
Active shooter.
Active shooter.
I do the active shooter civilian response training.
Okay. And you're focusing now more on the advanced and the active shooter.
Correct, correct. People really need to have more training than basic just to get a license.
And what's the difference, I guess, between the levels? The two levels.
It's the basic for getting a license is just enough to handle a gun. Maybe you don't even have to handle a gun en masse.
Okay.
Surprisingly, and they just get the basic safety, how to handle a gun, what you should and shouldn't do, state laws, basic stuff. If you get to an advanced class, you get into how do you handle the gun, what kind of a holster do you have, how do you carry it, where do you carry it, how do you get out of the holster properly, safely, and get on target.
But there's a lot more, the basic courses that a lot of people take don't include actually handling a gun, which I know your basic course always included that. To me, it's like, how do you give a license to carry without handling a gun? And why I think your advanced program makes so much sense for people, because you really, if you're going to ever think that you may use a firearm, you really should practice using a firearm.
You really should.
You really should.
You need to know, because the basic is just that, basic, and you may never touch a gun. And that's legal to give a class in Massachusetts to get your LTC, or license to carry. The advanced training, I provide training with their own equipment, and they can consult with me on what to get for proper equipment and what's best for them. They come into their own equipment, their own ammo, and I'm there to facilitate the training to get them to cut all excess movement out of their presentation from the holster.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they get on target faster. And then speed comes with the accuracy.
Okay, so that most of your advanced training takes place at a range, so that
Yes.
people are actually utilizing. And what kinds of firearms do you train people in?
I train people in handguns, primarily handguns. It could be a semi-automatic pistol, or it can be a revolver. It's their choice. They all work well, just a different flavor. And I've got four levels of advanced handgun,
Okay.
starting out with the very basics of getting it in and out of the holster properly, moving around. Second level gets into moving on shooting multiple adversaries, and we get into unorthodox shooting positions, because you're not always going to be, when stuff goes down, you're not always going to be in the perfect position.
And then tell me a little bit more about active shooter.
Active shooter. As you know, we've had a whole lot of active shooter events, people going in and their main goal is to kill as many people as possible. What I do is I train the people how not to get hit if at all possible, what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and quickly to do it. So they don't have to think about it, they just respond immediately. And that's most of the times when you hear about active shooter, the training is for what they call first responders, your emergency services. That leaves you out. Really, who is the first responder? It would be you, because you're there at the time and you have to do something right away. It may take them 5, 10, 15 minutes to get there. Things happen too fast. You've got to do something yourself first.
Okay.
And that's what we go through, and different things you can do to help prevent getting shot or hurt.
What got you into firearms training in the first place?
I do training at heart. I've been a trainer for well over 20 years in high-tech training, and I saw a need. The laws started tightening up in the 60s, and I saw that people were getting guns, but they really didn't know how to use them. Not really. It serves no purpose for self-defense if you're standing in front of a still target and just shooting to try to get one hole inside the other. That is not realistic when somebody attacks you. And you've got to know when to respond and when not to respond. So I just felt there was a need, and I knew that I could do it. Most of my business is by referral. Probably about 90% of my business is referrals. And I just needed to do it. Now I'm getting more out of the basic training, because there are so many people doing it and not enough people doing the advanced. And I'm going to focus more on advanced training later
That's
in the year
great.
from
Yeah,
now on.
It seems like there's a big need, as you said. People get a license to carry a gun, but they don't know how to use it, and that doesn't.
Not properly.
Not properly.
Yeah.
That's kind of a scary thought. Kind of a scary thought.
You know, when something happens, it happens fast. It's what's called a dynamic critical incident. It happens fast, and things change rapidly as well. In those times, you're lucky if you're half as good as on your best day, because of tunnel vision, and you don't hear things as well. So you've got to do all the training so it becomes more instinctive. You won't stop all that. You're going to minimize it.
Right.
Through training. That's why police train all the time, and they have to know when to pull the trigger and when not to.
Right.
It's very important.
Well, great. This has been fascinating for me. It's something that I think gets kind of neglected when people talk about firearms and getting firearms for their own use. So I appreciate you coming by.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate
We'll be
it.
back soon. I'm here with Stacy Lavely, who's the executive director of the Foundation for Autism Acceptance Worldwide, which is Shrewsbury-based and a really important organization trying to really get people to think about autism and families who are impacted by autism in a different way. And you have a new and important program that we want to talk about for a couple of minutes.
We do. I'm going to give you a little bit of the history, walking down memory lane a little bit. My son Jagger Lavely, he was in a talent show at Oak Middle School here in Shrewsbury, and he forgot some of the words to Let It Go. And all the kids joined in, clapped, sang, and pretty much they would have had every chance in the world to mock him. He was in an Olaf costume. He's 13 years old singing Let It Go. And instead, they just did the complete opposite. So our latest venture, which is Wish Wizard, kind of came from that moment because it's his chance to kind of give back to other people where he was helped that night, you know, through a tough time for him. So in April, we actually did our first Wish Wizard giving. So we had a couple of families, one who had wanted an Echo. So we were able to give him one of those. He was going to do educational things, and then he was rewarded with getting like dance breaks and things like that. So that really worked out really nicely. And then another family, the mom who just passed away last week, actually had cancer, and so she was sequestered from her family for quite some time. And so we got them the kind that you could see and talk to each other.
Okay.
And so that way they were able to drop in on each other whenever they wanted, which was nice because they were in Worcester and she was in Boston, and it was really, really challenging. So this time around for the holidays, we're going to be expanding it to all special needs. So basically what we're asking people to do is send in their wishes to us. If you have a family member with special needs, or a friend, or if you're a caregiver, or if you yourself have special needs, and it can be anything. And the wishes we're asking to be about under $50, because what we're going to be doing is putting giving trees around Shrewsbury, Grafton, Westboro, Southboro, Northboro, and parts of Worcester.
Oh, neat.
And they'll, what you'll see is they're going to look like little wizard hats. So they're going to be like this and kind of have a rim. And on the inside will be the wish of the person. So what you're going to see as a person who'll be fulfilling that wish is going to be an age, a diagnosis, what the person wants, and what the their age, boy or girl. And so we're going to be doing that for them. And then any of the ones that are left over, we're hoping to be able to fulfill them through the foundation itself.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, so it's kind of a community-based thing. And then what we'd like to do afterwards is have a party where we're inviting people, you know, from the community, and for Jagger to be able to give the people their wishes, and then, you know, give them a little extra little thing we have for them. So,
Oh,
you know,
super.
just kind of, you know, a fun, you know, give back kind of thing. And just, you know, we're probably going to try to do it after the holidays just because it can get
Oh,
kind
gets
of
a little
crazy
crazy.
for people. And that way, you know, some people do have that last week of the year off. So we're hoping that, you know, we'll get more people that way. So we're really excited. We've had quite a few locations step up. We had Unibank in Shrewsbury. Videobank is thinking about it. Bhavna's Wellness Center is doing it in Shrewsbury. The Grafton Dunkin' Donuts on 140 is going to be doing one. What is it? Rhythm and Dance Company
Oh,
down
great.
in Westboro
Great.
is going to have one, and we're waiting to hear for a few more, and kind of figuring out, you know, how many wishes we're going to have. But we do have a cutoff date of December 1st, but we're really hoping to have them before, because we'd like to get the trees up like right after Thanksgiving, get them right up so we can give people plenty of time during their shopping
Oh,
to be
great.
able to, you know, think of somebody else. And I mean, you know, it really does a heart good to be able to do that. I mean, I know I love
Absolutely.
to give back like that. So.
Oh, that's super. That's
Yeah.
super. So look for the trees. in
Absolutely, look for the
November
trees and look for our little wizard. And he was in the parade, actually. They just did the parade, Spirit of Shrewsbury. And he was actually in that riding a Trans Am, classic
Oh,
Trans
great,
Am. So that
great.
was pretty cool.
That's great.
So, yeah, so if you're interested in getting the request form for the Wish Wizard requests, our Facebook page is at Wish Wizard. And you could just type it in and you should go right to it. If for any reason you are having any trouble, our email is autismacceptanceww@gmail.com. So again, that's autismacceptanceww@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook. It's autismacceptanceworldwide.org. So you can also check there. We're in the process of tweaking that website. So the Wish Wizard thing may or may not work. We're not 100% sure. So please feel free to reach out to us. We can take the actual wishes either through instant message, email, or if people want to snail mail us, that's fine too. It's the Foundation for Autism Acceptance Worldwide, P.O. Box 114, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, 01545. So again, that's Foundation for Autism Acceptance Worldwide, P.O. Box 114, Shrewsbury, Mass, 01545. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. And we'll be back.